Hello.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sunday service. Please feel free to sit on these pillows. There's definitely lots of room up here. Feel free to grab a drink. We're going to have a couple of performances for you tonight. We'll take a short break between the first two and the final. My name is Stephanie Acosta, and this is Alexis Wilkinson, and we are co-founders of... we are the co-founders of Sunday Service. Sunday Service, I'm going to read to you right here, because it's the best way to talk about something is by staring at your phone. Takes place the first Sunday of each month, and a guest curator is invited to organize a salon-style evening of cross-disciplinary performances and presentations that brings together a multiplicity of views around a singular prompt, such as a question, a theme, or a formal structure. Sunday Service centers work in progress, interdisciplinary endeavors, and diversity in format, showcased in a lo-fi environment to foster the testing of ideas and critical discourse amongst your peers. Today is our finales for the season, and we'll be starting up again hopefully in February, so there'll be more information on that soon. With that, I'm going to give the mic over to Alexis Wilkinson, who will be reading a note from our curator for this evening, multidisciplinary, magical Camilo Godoy, who could not be with us tonight because of a job problem. So Alexis is going to read some ideas from him, and then we're going to go into our first performance. Thanks so much.
Okay, so these are Camilo's words to you. Hello, thank you for coming to the Sunday service titled, We Have to Live Differently. I'm sorry I cannot be with you tonight. I'm somewhere in the Pacific Ocean right now on my way to Korea. Thank you, Alexis and Stephanie, for inviting me to curate this program and for all of your support. I've invited 5 artists from various disciplines who explore ideas of difference. The title is borrowed from an Alice Walker poem, Calling All Grandmothers. This program projects a video piece by artist Eduardo Restrepo, standing with their gender-nonconforming self in front of a cathedral. Jordan Demetrius Lloyd performs a scored improvisation solo about blackness, sensuality, and the audience's gaze. Writer Ella Boureau reads excerpts from her lesbian erotica. Writer Mike Funk reads from his comic zine. And dancer Miguel Angel Guzmán improvises various movement phrases throughout the space to interrogate how the body moves. This program confronts questions of gender, sexual, and racial difference to insist that we live differently. So we'll begin with Jordan's work. Hi everybody, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm going to read two pieces. One's really short, and the next one is much longer. Oh shit. Did she say it, or did I? The heart had flopped onto her clean wooden floorboards with a singular squelch, and now lay on the floor like some ball of clay, or fresh-caught fish, pulsing wetly. Maybe we both said it? Put that away, she said. I'm so embarrassed, I said. Is it moving? She asked, prodding the heart gingerly with the tip of her boot. No, don't. But it was too late. Blood pooled beneath the heart and circled outwards, enveloping the floorboards, the carpet, the coffee table legs, her feet, my feet. Oh my God, she breathed, eyes widening. What did you do? I'm sorry, I cried, not quite sure why I was apologizing. The blood just kept pouring and pouring all over her perfectly curated apartment, overtaking the bottom shelf of her beautiful books, seeping into the white cotton of her beautiful bedspread. Let me get a mop? Don't touch anything, she hissed. We were both calf deep in blood by this point. It had reached the front door and was flowing underneath it, so unstoppable. Just go, she said. Okay, I said. I waded towards the door, the blood being sucked up through the cloth of my jeans. My legs were scarlet, my waist. I couldn't open the door. There was too much blood. I think we're trapped in here. I turned. Behind me was simply a wall of bright crimson shot through with rust. No one there. Blood had carried that lover away. First piece. And this next piece that I'm going to read, Camilo asked me to think of something that had to do with lust and friendship. And after I graduated from school, I fled New York City. I was like totally heartbroken, and I moved to Paris, and I was like, I'm gonna live my Parisian life, and it's gonna be so different. And it was like the weirdest year of my life. I worked for this photography publishing house, and it was like a crash course in Parisian misogyny. And I felt very uncomfortable all the time. But there was one person who worked there who was like this, like very Catholic, but like ex-junkie jack-o'-lantern among like the very glossy, Parisian like fashion people. And she was like a brilliant art historian, and I didn't know anything about art, and she took me under her wing. And then she died very suddenly while I was there. Oops. And I don't know, like, it's maybe like a little weird to write erotica about your dead friend, but that's what I did. So that's what this next story is. I am outside of the Jeu de Paume gallery in Paris, smoking a cigarette, watching my breath crystallize and drift. Due to an unfortunate interaction with a little minette who had left Jeu de Paume some minutes earlier, I am sitting in the middle of the street and inspecting the blood welling on my bottom lip. The gargoyles on the balcony across the street are laughing softly. I ignore them, as usual. Ella! But why are you sitting in the middle of the road like this, like a Helen at it? I turn and see it is Marie, my colleague at the stylish fashion publishing house where I am a little gopher. She is in her famous torn black tights and black wool skirt. Her hair is a mess, her expression muddied, as though she'd spent hours drinking. I hold my arms out wide and shrug my shoulders. She laughs and sits down beside me. An hour before, Marie and I had been standing in the gallery in front of a painting by Dante Rossetti, Proserpine, Persephone with pomegranate in hand. We had come separately, but Marie noticed me, studying the painting, and approached with a little half-smile. You know, Rossetti was obsessed with this motto. The woman, Jane, who posed for it, they had an affair for decades. He painted the same portrait over 7 times. You know, she looked like you. I wrinkled my nose. It's so gloomy. I don't know if I believe Persephone was ever so sad.
Not sad? A prisoner of the underworld? But she's the queen, and she can leave every 6 months. If I were her, I'd put my tongue right in the cleft of that pomegranate she's holding and suck on it till springtime. It was about that time that I noticed the little minette and excused myself from our conversation. My inappropriate remark floats back now as Marie sits beside me, eyeing my cigarette. What possesses me to say such things? She holds up 2 fingers. Je peux? I nod and hand her the cigarette. Casually, she says, I was thinking, that woman sitting in the street, she looked so lost, I could kiss her. And then I saw that it was you. And so I could still kiss you. She sucks on the cigarette, and all the gravity in her face sinks into the little O of her mouth. I consider my dream date. She looks tired. One of her teeth is rotten, the left canine. She is stinking drunk. This is not a turn of phrase, but her eyes are playful, dark and daring, eating me up as she tucks her skirt down in a delayed gesture of modesty. Who am I to pass up a woman with such molten eyes, intimate knowledge of the pre-Raphaelites, an interesting choice of dress, mess or no mess? After all, I'm the madwoman already sitting in the middle of the street, bruised and bloody, a thief and a pervert, a foreigner wandering in the cold and holy Saint-Germain-des-Prés through the maze of centuries lived and lost. Curiosity trickles through the smoke we share. I lean in, ready to accept the fate that is being offered me between 2 red lips. Marie's bâtiment looms large and imposing as we walk arm in arm. My thumb grazes her woolen-covered breast with each step we take. Marie is deliberately and uncharacteristically silent so that we can both feel the full zing of this contact that takes place every 2 seconds. The street is mute and absent of light. Marie disconnects herself from my arm and swings the wrought iron gate open, holding it for me to pass through. We enter the ivy-covered courtyard and she digs through her purse. Minutes pass and her ferreting figure becomes clearer. Putain de merde, she mutters. I left my keys in the apartment. Should we go to mine? I venture timidly. As an au pair for a family across town, I am unsure how to effectively sneak a woman through the very shared living space before stealing away to my room. Like most Parisians, the family I live with stays up late. Fuck it, she says, we'd climb. I glance toward the ivy-covered wall of the apartment building. It looks solid and unyielding from this angle. Climb? Climb what? Come this way. I forget my keys all the time. It's only the 3rd floor. Marie is already heading towards the ground floor window ledge, hiking herself onto the highest part. She grabs for the ornate front door jamb and hoists herself up onto it. Her skirt rides up, and the mesh of her nylons catches on the rough stone. It is suddenly clear to me why Marie has not a single pair of intact tights. With a confidence solely bestowed upon the maniacally wasted, she grabs for the second window's ledge with her right foot and lands it easily. From there, she simply reaches up to the 3rd-story window and musters her upper body into it before twisting her butt onto its ledge, which I assume is her own. From this height, she calls to me, "Come, you're so tall, it'll be easy for you." I shake my head vehemently, and after a moment of laughing, she calls, "Okay, don't worry, I come down and get you. You don't have to climb if you're afraid." I'm not afraid, I just cannot do it. Nodding a half smile, Marie disappears into the 3rd floor window, and all is quiet again. I feel cold for the first time in hours, suddenly alone. I stamp my feet to warm them up, and the reverberation surprises me. I stamp again and howl a quick, "Hua!" It is satisfying. Hua! 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 The chilly echo reassures and dissipates. The front door opens. "What are you doing?" Marie calls. I shrug my shoulders, hands in my pockets. "Just howling." "Ah," her eyes shed. "Oh," she calls before pulling me bodily indoors and slamming the entryway shut. The hall is dark and she presses onto me. Against her heat, I feel the chill in my cheeks, the chill in my lips, and the slippery warmth of hers as if she had just had a nip of whiskey. "You're cold," she whispers into my mouth. "Let's get you upstairs and into bed." Her skin is strange, papery, like an old woman's, but full of life. Wordlessly, she pulls me by the lapel, up the lightless, narrow staircase, up and up we wind. At first, I scan desperately to make sense of the constantly shifting shapes. My eyes panic. I reason with them. One staircase is like any other. What can it matter whether I see it or not? The darkness makes everything last longer and dizzies me. I am entirely at the mercy of the hand pulling me up, up, up. After what seems like too many flights, we arrive at an open door. I can tell it is open because the quality of the darkness is different. It is like a mouth, ready to inhale. We disappear into it, and with a sharp clack, we are inside. I can see nothing, and yet the air vibrates, singing the skin. Don't you have lights? I wonder aloud. What do you need lights for? Marie pulls me to her, placing my hands at the bottom of her sweater. I would guide every move you need to make. She pushes them up her belly to the folds of her breasts. This simple movement sends quicksilver longing through me, and I rip the sweater up and over her head and pull her close that I can get at her neck. It is the one thing I can see clearly, her face entirely obscured by her hair, but her neck shines smooth and white. I run my tongue and teeth along its pathway, arriving at the tip of her ear, which I bite, a meanness that is quick and clean. Marie yelps. Suddenly behind her the shadows shift out of place and then recollect, so subtly that had I blinked I would have missed it. It is so silent. There is breath, but whose breath is it? My skin prickles at the possibility of a new presence, as though we were being watched. Is there someone here? Marie glances behind her left. No! I mean, I have a cat, but she don't like strangers. I try to focus my eyes at the spot of darkness that seems different, but it is useless as staring into the sun. Marie grabs my face, kissing me hard between 10 tapered fingers, hair and saliva, the slight plump of her lips. I press my finger to their fullness. Pulpers. It is my favorite word at the moment, describing lips that are so ripe that they appear to be full of pulp. Very good, she says. Now, how would you describe this? She takes my hand from her mouth and guides it between her legs. Despite her thick stockings, I can feel a hot pulse radiating. Chaud, I lean into her ear. Très chaud même, et mouillé. Very good, she breathes. The darkness emboldens me, so I pull up on the stockings until I can feel the soft flesh of her. I draw my finger along the seam, wetting the wool in one slow stroke. She inhales, pushes my hand away, backs further into the apartment, pushes down her skirt and leaves it lifeless on the floor, unhooks her bra and lets it fall so that it clicks the moment it hits. I can hear her stocking feet padding back, back, back on the hardwood floor until we arrive at another open door. Viens, she sighs and disappears. I hold my arms out, feeling drunk, though I've had nothing but one sad cigarette. I feel for the door jamb and pass through. Here, the light from a half moon outside illuminates Marie's body slightly as she flops onto a mattress on the floor. There is no other furniture in the room. Simply a pile of clothes and a record player that Marie is now futzing with. A click, a whir, and I recognize the first strains of Lou Reed's Sweet Jane. She slides back from the record player, throwing the sleeve across the room, but really, I am staring at her ass. It is full, and I can tell that the skin beneath her tights is bare. I shrug my long coat to the floor and come down on top of her, arms straight, knees bent, boots hanging 1 foot off the bed, close but not touching. My body simply frames hers. Without speaking, I pull the top of her stockings down with one hand. One ass cheek is revealed, as shining white as her neck. I sink my face into it, my teeth into her flesh. It yields so thoroughly that I moan. I grab the fabric and pull roughly, feeling the flesh of her hips as I do. Her cunt hits me with its stink suddenly, and I laugh. It is so easy. Sex can be so easy. You want it for months, and then suddenly, there it is in your face, its stench calling you forward. Her ass is smooth, and I run my tongue along it, taking pleasure in every centimeter, documenting my path toward her lips. I cut my hand experimentally over it. She inhales, and I feel again the pulse underneath wiry hairs. I push my finger up, splitting her apart. The plumpness of her lips sends me once more to my new word. Pulpeuse, I lean forward to whisper it in her ear. Her slipperiness sends me another. Pulpe. Marie turns to kiss me, and I grab her hair roughly and pull her back close to me. She mules, arching herself into me. I let go of her hair and run my fingers along her haunches, perfect moon skin. I spread her open, smelling rather than seeing what I imagine to be russet-colored insides. I tip my tongue out and feel for her opening. When I find it, I push forward. Honey, metal, seafoam, whiskey. Another dark mouth drawing me in. My tongue pushes her open and recedes, pushes and recedes. With each breath, I am made drunker. This is how it is to drink in a lover, one sip at a time, one sip that is just enough to coat the tongue and recede. Marie has buried her face into her pillow. My hands grip her sides as I suck on her. Nestled there, I can see nothing, feel only the heat, the wet. I suck on her and she shudders. From the corner of my eye, something flutters. I sense it more than see it. My skin prickles once more and I draw back. Marie, I say, what is that? I cannot locate what or even where the disturbance is coming from. It is not really movement, not really texture, but the air is thicker, sometimes here, sometimes there. Perhaps it could be described as a change in atmosphere. It frays my nerves each moment I sense it. Marie lifts her head. I can tell she senses it as well and that it disappoints her. Nothing, I said, it's my, Marie, it's not your cat. It's not an animal at all, it's in the air. She sighs and repeats, I told you, it's nothing. I feel like we're being observed. Ignore it, it will go away. Just kiss me. Please. There is a loneliness in her voice that makes this last sentence sound like a plea. Now I grin, sitting up straight and hawk-eyed. Say it again. Marie bows her head, but her eyes catch mine. They spark. Please. Her lips wait. Come closer. She does, and I suction my mouth on hers. I push against her, my hips jutting forward into her, massaging her haunches. I want her to feel my wanting her, and this is how it happens. With the protrusion of my bones into her flesh, with a hard mouth, with nails tearing at the sides of her face, her neck, her back. But it is not enough. I must rip, and my nails catch her skin. I will rip you apart, I say. I will rip you open. My fingers rake her like hot coals, leaving raw trails in her milk skin. I mash my mouth against hers to get at the little fluttering thing inside her, the little fluttering thing that is so elusive. I will get it this way, by smashing, by scratching, by biting. I throw her down on the bed and put my lips to her again. It is like swallowing flames. She is so swollen, overripe. I am hungry. Perhaps I can suck it out this way. I fix my eyes on her, and she is rocking backward, gasping, pushing herself into me. I close my eyes and let all sensation wash over me without judging it. Heat and pulp bury me as I push my face deeper into her, unable to breathe. I hear her moans slipping out from the deep as if they were my own. I thrust my fingers inside, 1, 2, 3, 4. She's so open they just slide in, and she rocks, pulling them in further. My other hand on her belly, clawing, tearing as she screams. Marie begins to shake, her thighs sweating, cunt squeezing my fingers in bursts. Her orgasm seems to illuminate the room around us, her silhouette outlined perfectly in a crackle of electricity. In my grip, her skin ripples strangely and then tightens. The tighter my grip, the tighter her skin. In that moment, a tiny hole opens up along her belly button. I can make out a glint of red shining beneath. I tear the flesh back from Marie's belly without thinking, as if it were so much Christmas paper, and she screams again. This time there is an aching agony in her cry that cannot be contained by its sound or even the surrounding darkness. But I barely hear it, for underneath that layer of skin, where her insides should be, where the coils of intestines ought to lie nested, instead, shed billions of clustered ruby red seeds. Their red so deep it seems to glow, their odor fresh and bright. It is at once the most alien and most natural thing I have ever seen. My lover is made not of flesh and bone, but of the sweetest pomegranate seeds. Who ever heard of such a thing? I don't dare touch them. It would be too much, too intimate. I force my gaze up to meet Marie's. Her face is flushed, tears brimming her eyes. I feel inadequate suddenly, a brute, only now realizing her brutishness. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I wasn't thinking, I stammer. Now you know, she says. Now you know and you can't undo it. Are you going to stay? She asks me. In her eyes is something so raw and fierce I can barely stand to look at her. I don't know, I say. I think I should go. I think I should go home. Marie watches in feline silence as I pull on my boots and coat. It's all I can think of to get on the other side of the door. I barely know you, I say, as if that were a proper goodbye. As if it could explain my back, retreating to the door. She remains wordless, lying still. Once out of her sight, I am seized by the urge to run. I grope haphazardly for the door handle and bolt out into the hall. I fly blindly down the staircase, tripping all over myself, remaining upright only by the grace of the railing. I reach the glowing red exit sign, breathless and trembling, and fumble through to the courtyard. Once outside, the cold slices me instantly as I have forgotten to button my coat. My boots clatter and echo on the cobblestones. Only after I have reached one of the grand boulevards do I stop running. Only then do I realize I have no idea where I am or which direction I should go. The sun glitters in the moonlight and I decide to walk along it. As I walk, I keep turning around, sure I am being followed. But there is no one. Only the street lights, only the roads, in the distance a garbage truck. It occurs to me that you only have to run from beauty once. It does not follow, does not lurk. Beauty does not insist upon itself. It is exposed without introduction and with utmost rudeness. But what I can't figure out is this. Can you ever forgive beauty for making itself known to you? Can you forgive yourself for running from it? Thank you.
Hello. So I'm a cartoonist. I made this comic book. It's called Eat, Pray, Spit in My Mouth. It's about two pumpkins. Why it's about two pumpkins I really couldn't tell you. But they are, in reality, rotting Halloween decorations. And this comic is about sort of their imagined fantasy life as they're decaying on somebody's stoop. So soak that in, and get started. And this is just the PDF of the zine, so in short, this is me kind of explaining that. And it's like a combination of a couple of zines that I made. And here I am, just going to go into it. I want to touch you because it makes me feel real. We are connected by our shared disintegration. I long to know your history so I can better contextualize my personal narrative. I want to touch your cock. I want to cling to you under the misguided notion that you can protect me. I want to process your grief. More rotting. Jack, I want you to draw me like one of your French girls. Wearing this. All right. Wearing only this. Daddy. She sort of makes sense. I feel like Daddy would be drawing him, but it's fine, it's fine. You're so funny and sensual and afraid. Continued time lapse of rotting pumpkins. The void says hi. Just kidding. The void says nothing. Have you read Nietzsche? And this is about a real estate office that sells grave plots. Grave mistakes, rentals to die for. The market really is getting bleak. Listen, it's an up-and-coming neighborhood. Lots of trees. Neighbors, you will not find quieter neighbors. Now this deal will not last forever. Don't think of it as an apartment. Think of it as your new lease on death. And the real estate agent is a vampire who's really into CrossFit. He's a paleo vampire Jack. This is the centerfold of the zine. It's just more shots of the pumpkins rotting slowly. This is a Halloween decoration of a bat. What is desire? Is it lack? Is it acquisition? Trick or treat? Scream! My whole thing is that I'm alienated. This is a two-part comic. So, have you ever made a sex tape? No. Weird how we call them tapes, you know? Uh-huh. IDK, it's like the erotics of nostalgia, you know? For sure. So do you want to make a sex file? Is it recording? I think so. Are you ready? Yeah, I think so. I am so sorry. No, I'm sorry. I am so fucking sorry. Oh my God. Crying porn. I feel empty. I feel consumed by your emptiness. What's on Netflix? An orange. You gonna eat that? You know, I thought that I wanted it, but now that I actually have it, I can see that it's messy and requires far too much commitment. And can I have it? Those are actual thoughts I once had about an orange. For context. You know what would be terrifying? What? Having a relationship fight up here. I like how even in a situation where there's plenty to be afraid of, you still find a way to be scared of emotions. Which is also a thing my friend said to me, because this is something that I actually said. More rotting pumpkins. The train was too full, and my heart is too empty, and I'm tired all the time. I took the worst shit today. There's always tomorrow, I guess. Pumpkin. My God, do you smell that? Yeah, what is that? I don't know. And then they're in the garbage. And that's it. That's my comics to the back.
Right.
I'm just gonna Alexa's gonna make some closing remarks. Thank you so much for being here tonight at Sunday service. We will be back next season, so stay tuned. We are going to have Eduardo Restrepo's video playing on a loop after her remarks for another like 15 minutes, so feel free to spend time with it. Stay here, talk to the artist, buy them a drink. Thank you for coming. Were you able to get
That would be, and that was like the story. No, what's your friend's name? Yeah. They were like, oh my god, I just moved here in a day. You are. You told me you moved. It's so Because I imagine that you had like a really intense, like passionate weekend and like you actually had a girlfriend or something. So yeah, and you're like, I gotta go. I actually live in Miami. Just like I'm not Jewish. Oh really? Wow. How do you can't prove that you're not Jewish? Good call. How is she